Hello, everyone. Welcome to Grey Space, a podcast by Amansra Consulting, where we sit down with leaders who operate in the messy middle of scaling businesses. They operate between strategy and execution, between ambition and reality. In fact, they are the ones who turn the plan into actionable results. Each conversation here explores how businesses actually grow, transform, and perform when the textbook answers run out, when leaders are faced with uncertainty, with unpredictability, and how do they make hard decisions, or rather the right decisions in these times. Today, in Grey Space, we have with us Bharat Mandhiyani, the COO of Beekay Group. Beekay Group is a Lucknow-based business house that has been a trusted name in automotive parts distribution, retail, and warehousing for over 3 decades. If you've ever been in a vehicle that has had the name of Maruti Suzuki, Tata Motors, Mahindra, Eicher, or a Royal Enfield, very likely that some part, if not many, of these vehicles have come from Beekay Group. Bharat has been with the organization for a better part or a little more than 5 years. Under his leadership, the organization has grown exponentially. He's also the man who has transformed the organization, which was largely a legacy-based organization, to today a far more professional one that looks forward to be among the front runners in their industry. Bharat, welcome to the Gray Space. And I'd like to start with your journey, where it all began for you, however you would like to start.
Thank you, Rupali, for such a nice introduction. So, my journey started at the age of 5. When I was at 5, my grandfather gave us an opportunity to sit on my family business. At those time, there was a business concept we called as PCO, Public Call Operation Business was there, in which I used to sit for 2 hours, and he gave us a pocket money to meet our daily expenses, be it playing video games or enjoy with the friends. So from the age of 5, my grandfather's giving me a what we can giving me a culture that you need to earn the money. We are not going to give you like very easy on you can take the money with me. So you need to earn that money. From the age of 5, he given us that kind of business senses to us. And being born and brought up in Sindhi family, business in our DNA, part you can say. So from that, my journey has started at the age of 10 or 11 in a summer vacation. My father sent me with a wholesaler to go and work as a labor for 2 months and try to learn and earn something for household things. So these little bits step in my past today remind us that yes, my beginning was started at that time of early age, not now. So they given us the value of money, how you can save and earn. And after that, I heard something from my brother that there is a course called CA. So at the class of eighth, then my brother was meritorious student. So he opted for science. So I was little worried. I don't wanted to go on a science. So then I opt commerce, studied commerce, CA, and then cleared in 2012. After that, I start my own practice because I wanted to take the flavors how these practices are going on. After doing 4 or 5 years of practice at Lucknow, I don't find many much opportunities because I am very young at the age of 24, 25. I wanted to build my learning curve more. Then I quit practice and went to PwC. I spent 3 or 4 months in PwC. Then I was not enjoying my work at PwC also. Then I quit and came back to Lucknow again. Then I find BK Group and meet with the owners. At that time, where I got to know we are into automotive business and it sounded interesting. When I'm coming to BK, It's give us opportunity to grow more.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. That's been such an interesting journey. And in fact, that makes me think that you've had such an entrepreneurial journey throughout your life. That's what you were built for. And then you chose to join BK. So I'm very keen to understand what excited you about BK that you've chosen to take the mandate here.
What coming into BK, there was two major things which I was focusing. One, the industry should be growing, or there is a future of industry which not going to be a sunset in coming 30 or 40 odd years during my entire journey of life or giving my skills to BK. Second, the promoter should be that they give us a freedom to take ownership and take decisions to grow the business or lead from the front. So I got both the things in BK. Promoters trusted us, given us full freedom to take your decision, fail early, and then learn from your mistake and rebuild the system faster.
I think that's such an interesting point you made about the promoter giving you that free hand to, learn mistakes, make mistakes, because usually a lot of times what we hear about family managed organizations or legacy organizations is that they are held very tightly, and it comes from a very good intention. It comes from that place of I have built this place. So it sometimes takes a lot for a leader, when especially a first generation leader or a family leader, to kind of let go. And with what I'm hearing with you, that's the experience that you have had. How do you think that has shaped or helped you in what we spoke about at the start? That is, you're also the person who actually transformed BK from a legacy organization to a professional organization. So, how was that journey like? I'm sure there must be resistance. There must be several people who would say, this is the organization that we literally built brick by brick. That kind of resistance, the aversion to change. How did you navigate all of that and transform BK into what it is today?
Luckily, I got a good promoters and a good team at BK also, because I don't want anything blaming the team, because it's your nature how you can adjust with the team. Whatever position you are, you need to put into yourself into their shoes. What are their pain? If you are able to understand their pain and giving them some kind of solution on daily basis, then team will accept you as a leader very easily. So my first phase was just mingle with the team, spend time with all the seniors of the BKs, whatever business verticals they are heading. You need to spend a lot of time with them, go to the ground and find what are their pain areas. We play a role of a mediocre between promoters and senior leadership team, and try to help in out getting something from promoters from leadership team and help them to grow also. When you help your team to grow, your team will accept you as a leader and help you, and they will find yourself as a helping person, or they find that if you are getting some kind of benefit from your seniors, be it your career path growth or be it your personal kind of growth, they will easily accept you.
I think that's such a actionable insight for many leaders who have transitioned from maybe professional services to legacy organizations, or that have just stepped into a leadership role in legacy organizations, or there's a large section where organizations are still transforming. I think what you've just said gives them such a practical roadmap of dealing with resistance of any kind. So thank you for sharing that. And I'm going to go back to what you shared about your motivators for joining BK. It's just that I wanted to ask that question, but because you mentioned the promoter bit, that got me really excited, and I jumped to this. But you mentioned how industry was a very important factor for you, and which is very interesting because your industry, specifically your organization, but even otherwise your industry, sits at the intersection of manufacturing, distribution, retail, and warehousing. And given the push that we have for Make in India, for a more Atmanirbhar Bharat, how do you see this industry? I'll come to the organization in a bit. This industry going forward, how do you see this industry appealing to more and more younger professionals? And how do you see the contributions of this country in terms of nation building and national growth numbers?
At the time of freedoms, India was needed, the basic need was households or per capita income. But as the per capita income is growing, young people are coming into the part, second or third generation people handling the new businesses, their income are increasing. So after that, people try to invest their funds into car part also or automotive industries. So first, their primary priorities for roti kapda and makan has been taken care by their parents, most of us. And then now they wanted to spend their life fully. So after that need, they comes into the automotive parts. And past 13 or 14 years ago, people was not having that much of visibilities of car. Indian car makers, say Mahindra, Tata, and Maruti are growing very rapidly. And after coming EVs, new car park is also coming to the roads. So these industries are growing very fast, and we are into a spare part distribution. When car will be on road for maintenance, parts will be needed every hour to make them on road. So, and this business is never going to be vanished. Like somebody buy a car, they need a petrol to run the car. Same likely, if somebody invested in a car, they need a spare parts to run their vehicle also. So industry is very growing. Past 2 or 3 years, industries are growing very fast. After this November GST cut, another boom is coming in this industries. And I'm not going to see any kind of decline in coming 2 or 3 years. Though
Just
industry is cyclic, after 4 or 5 years, they come down and then again come into a growth path.
lovely, lovely. So it's a very vibrant industry going forward, and BK has already been a significant player in the industry. And now that we've spoken a little bit about the industry, I'm very keen to know if for our audiences, I have told them what BK Group is, but I think I'd love to hear from you what BK Group has achieved specifically. I mean, what the organization has done is phenomenal, and we would love for you to tell, like, what would you like the audiences to know about BK's past achievements, and what would you want to talk about the future of the organization, because of course we know the organization is looking to grow aggressively. Expansion is one of its key priority. So what can you talk to us about that?
BK journey started in 1990. It's a first generation entrepreneur business. And this business was started just to take a revenge from one of dealership which were not able to fix my promoter's truck at that time. So there was some argument between both of them. Then promoters take a call. Now I will do. मैं दिखाता हूँ कैसे इस बिजनेस को बनाया जा सकता है. तो from that day they started a business. They took a business for Eicher workshop distribution business. Then after that they take another brand. After 4 or 5 years, Tata come, Mahindra, RE, all these big giant OEMs are coming with us because our first priority was to how you make your customer successful. Our mission is simple, very how you are going to make your customer successful. If your customers are successful, your demand is never going to be reduced. So go to the market, connect with the customers, understand their pain, help them, and provide them faster part. So in our industry, there is three priorities for the customer. Parts available है क्या, कितने बजे तक मिलेगा और क्या प्राइस है. If we are able to provide these three kind of answer to them, the customer are very happy and they are given us orders on time. And the future of BK, we are aiming for 2x growth in next 4 years. And from past, say, 7 or 8 years, we are growing by 17 to 18% CGR year on year basis.
Which is an extremely impressive number. And when I go back and see, you have had an interesting journey with BK. While this growth was happening, you were the CFO of the organization, and then you moved to the COO, which is a very interesting transition because both of these roles require a very different mindset, a very different way of looking at things, a very different approach. So I'd like to understand from you that in your experience, how was the transition like? I mean, were there times where you were like, you were already in the initial phase, of course, you were already the COO, but you were thinking maybe like the CFO, and later you had to be like, okay, this is not how I have to look. So how was that transition like for you?
Uh, your CFO chairs required a lot of restriction by giving us budget to a team. You need to inculcate budget with yourself that profitability will be maintained. So at the initial few months, I was trying to do that kind of mistake with my sales team also. Though I have a sufficient budget, I am not going to provide them on time due to some of deals are missed by us. But later on, we learn from the mistake and understand that to meet the sales, there should budget should be utilized fully on the ground so that their byproduct in term of sales should come to us. So that was a learning. And being a cost efficient organization, we always discuss around there should not be so many wastages. So I always try to keep myself restrict rather than being open to the team, given budget and take your decisions. So this was my failures or learnings during the time of transitions.
Right. And now that you're the CEO, if you were to think very pointedly that, how do you now, because again, at the leadership level, at everything boils down to taking the right decision at the right time to get things going. So when you're taking decisions, I'm sure you would have your own parameters that you would think about. How has that changed from when you were a CFO to now that you are a CEO?
At the time of taking the decision of a CFO, my first priority was how you can retain better margins and increase the profitability. But when I'm CEO, my first priority is how I can provide better customer satisfaction. What will be the things where we can improve customer service, and customer is the first thing which come first while taking the decision as a CEO. And when as a chair of CFO, first thing is company's profitabilities. These are two different, say, segregation point which decision making is taking place in both the chairs.
And I think this goes back to how in your initial days you would still struggle with the fact that even if you have the budget, the focus was, I have to focus on margins. But
Correct.
and then the transition happened that it's the customer first thing. Also because we're talking about decision making, and you also come from finance background, finance and audit background, where data is the bread and butter. So how do you in the organization, and again, because it's been an organization that has been fairly traditional in a way until you came in. So how do you balance your decision making in terms of data versus intuition versus the narrative of this is how it's always happened? How do you balance it? What do you prioritize? How does it go for you?
Uh, For me, I always keep data first before my eyes before taking any kind of decision until some past event has not been happened. When some event is not happening, there is no database. We take decisions on the basis of intuition, like some marketing, new market campaign has to be raised. We don't have that kind of experience before with our company, so we take on the basis of gut feeling or intuition. This might work. We tried. If it worked, that is good. If not work, we change very quickly. And on we have a lot of kind of data to take the decision for inventory management, forecasting. We have multiple brands, multiple SKUs, more than 2 lakhs of SKUs per month we are dealing. So we need to take a decision on the basis of data only.
Right. And given the scale of the organization and the fact that the organization is on a growth trajectory, has there been any what is your view on technology supporting decision making? Are there any specific initiatives that are there at PK Group where technology has been leveraged, and how do you see the role of technology going ahead in terms of decision making and leadership? So there are two parts to the question, which is how is it now and how do you see it going ahead?
Uh, when I joined the company, the IT department was already there 11 years back. So promoters was already kept in mind that they want each department is separated, operated in these companies. So they are that vigilant at that time. So, but that IT department was only doing hardware works. If some LAN is not working, if some hardware is not working, they are fixing that kind of things. After being elevated from the role of CFO to CEO, I get the time and I take over the IT with the help of IT guys only. We build internal BK IT infrastructures. We build called BK Buddy kind of platform with the help of AI, and all the things whatever happening in manually we are trying to digitalize, and within a 2 or 3 due to COVID era and next 2 years after COVID we digitalize entire BK system into a BK Buddy. All Salesforce part, claim expect claim settlements, customer lasers, everything is now digitally available at BK. So we have a lot of internal data, and with the help of AI, we are leveraging this data, how we can help our customers, our team, or how we can save more cost, make better PJPs plan for team, and how each call can be productive while team going to the meeting the customers.
And how are you looking at strengthening the digital or the technology aspect at BK in the next couple of years? What are your priorities likely to be, especially given the fact that in many organizations, of course, not the blue collar roles, but several white collar roles are being impacted by AI, given the efficiency that it brings in. So, what does your digital or technology roadmap looks like for a couple of years?
I'm only seeing the role which will impact the person who are not knowing the AI. The person who know the AI, there is not going to be, there will be not be any kind of impact. Rather, this AI will help and increase their efficiency on day-to-day basis. So our all business heads, all sales team are getting regular training on AI's part or technology part, whatever we have. Though principal are also given us multiple kind of platform to use. With the help of that platform, we get the insight what customer are buying, what customer are not buying, what additional thing we can pitch to the customers, and how easily we can connect with the customer. These kind of things we are doing it.
Lovely, lovely, which is very interesting. And before we close the part on decision making, I think we've spoken about a lot of good things that happen, but of course nobody is perfect. So I'm sure even at BK there must have been a time where we looked at the data, we looked at the historical experiences, we took a decision, and it actually did not go as well as we expected to be, or rather it was a in retrospect, it proved to be a wrong decision, maybe, or a suboptimal decision. Can you tell us a story where something like this happened and what were the learnings?
We were working in brick and mortars part. We have a multiple retail outlet, and at the time of Amazon, Flipkart's, e-com was very boom kind of things. So we was tried how we can leverage this e-com into BK and build our own e-com platform and give to our customers or give us to consumer to buy the parts from us. We invest around 2 or 3 years in that, but ultimately we get failed. After that, we comes to know that the buying customers or mechanic do not have a knowledge of part number, so they are not able to search it from the system. Whatever you build, they will not going to ultimately they to the doctors, or sorry, they to go to the doctors, which is mechanics of our business. Whatever the mechanic will suggest them, they will going to buy it. So then we change our strategy and more focus on mechanics part to generate the demand through them rather than e-com platform.
That must have stayed with the team for a very, very long time as, a guiding factor on what needs to be improved. So, to just sum up the entire section on the decision-making bit, I want to know that if you're taking a decision and everything else looks great, but what is that one thing that you will never compromise on? Like, even if the data is correct, the experiences are right, but if this one thing is not correct, or if this one decision factor is the only thing that is a misfit, for that one thing, you would probably not compromise.
Uh, I learned this from my promoters regularly. All the senior team leader, including me, got how you can take decision. There is just three simple things. क्या इसमें कस्टमर का फायदा है? सेकंड, क्या इसको करने से कंपनी का फायदा होगा? क्या इससे कॉस्ट कम होगी या रेवेन्यू बढ़ेगा? Any two answers take the decision. There is no worries. If there is two cross mark, don't take any kind of decision. You can find another solution for it.
That's a very practical, very practical decision making framework. And from decision making, because we spoke about something that didn't go right, that we are never perfect. And I want to bring this back to the point of culture, because you've been the person who's widely credited for transforming the organization in terms of culture. A huge part of building an organization where customer is kept at the center is to talk internally about what's not going right. In fact, Toyota Production Systems, they have this thing called add and bell or rope something, where they incentivize talking about failures. They incentivize talking about mistakes so that problems are addressed before they reach the customer. How open the culture was in terms of admitting mistakes when you joined, versus how is it today, and how has that journey been like, and what are your views on it?
Uh, when you are into a company where promoters are directly dealing with the employees in the initial phase, and these employees are brought by the promoters only, and during the phase of tenure, they grow with the promoters organization. People are very resistant to share their views to the promoters directly. So
Right.
I come into the picture and trying to become a middle part of that team. Okay, yes, you can share your failures, whatever mistake you have done, you share to me. I will ensure you will not going to be scolded for that kind of mistakes. If it is not that kind of big, if it is careless, then definitely you are going to be scolded. If it is a mistake, then we will accept it and we will correct it and then present it to the promoter that these kind of mistake we have done, but now we have improved and come up from this kind of mistakes. So gradually this system is built up into BK, and now people are happy to take any kind of decision without taking any kind of fear that they will be scolded or they will be punished.
Lovely. And the industry that you are in, it's a very operations heavy industry. So, in that industry, how do you balance building this culture of psychological safety while also ensuring accountability and timely execution at scale? Because there's always this tension between psychological safety and accountability. That's what we usually hear from leaders. So, how do you kind of work around that?
For psychological safety, every leaders are plays a crucial role to safeguard their teams. And whenever these kind of mistake is happening, leaders themselves take accountability that yes, this mistake has been taken by my team. I am responsible for it. We will correct it with the help of my team. So whatever the credit is coming, we will pass it to team. But where something mistake or some big mistake is happening, as a leaders, we all senior teams or leaders are taking the ownerships and present with the promoters that this kind of mistake. Promoters is also kind of they never scold us for any kind of mistake. They say now this mistake has happened. They find a solution how you are going to come with this mistake and ensure make a process that this will never happen again. So
Right.
that's the freedom we are getting from our promoters from all the leadership teams.
Right. And how about what do you again, and I'm not basing this only on the culture part of it, but for even if I keep the tension aside, the tension between psychological safety and accountability, in for like we always say, 0 to 1 is a journey, then 1 to 3 is a journey, and then 3 to 7 is a journey, and 7 to 10 is a journey. Like what got you here won't take you ahead. So BK has scaled, and it's looking like you mentioned at the start, you're looking for about a 2x growth in a couple of years. How do you ensure quality, timely execution, and accountability at scale? Like, what are going to be your levers to make that happen?
So whatever the team which are going to be delivered this kind of growth, we are investing in our team. We are giving them proper training. Whatever courses they needed to perform their duty, we are giving it academic also. OEMs also given us various kind of training. We send them to different kind of BOC schools for getting the trainings for their jobs. And after coming, our HR department is taking regularly quizzes from them, doing a monthly town halls with them. and on ground they do visit, understand what kind of skill need they are still needed to perform your duties, and any kind of customer's claim which we are coming to us, we are trying to address within a time and find these kind of mistakes will not happen again. So we are leveraging with the help of our different verticals head, HR head, supply chain head, all are trying to invest in people so we can achieve whatever we are planning to get it in next 4 years.
I think this is the classic case of take care of your people and they will take care of you, which
Correct.
is such a beautiful I mean it feels really nice to hear this coming from a business leader, from a CEO. We usually hear this from CHROs, but this coming in from a CEO is very, very encouraging. And because you just spoke about the development of people, and that brings me to a thought around succession or succession planning. And I'm very keen to understand, how does development of leaders at various levels happens at BK? Is it a planned intervention? Does it happen only on the job? Does it happen sporadically? Or is that a conscious effort? How does succession planning play out in your environment?
It's a properly planned execution. There might be one or two roles where we are not able to find till date for succession planning, but all verticals, all department, we have a succession planning from the day we join a person as a leader. We ask them, your first role is to make another leader under you so we can elevate you for a different role. Until you are not going to create another leader under you and not going to be elevate for next level. So since these kind of culture we are bringing to system, people are working with their uh, peers, trying to help them. In case of they are not available, they are happily take the business independently. And we try to send business heads or these leaders mandatory 8 to 10 days leave from the job, so we can see whether beyond them these business are running or it's a totally depend on them. So we are finding wherever gaps we are getting, we are trying to address them and building our succession planning properly.
Lovely. And before we close out, there are a couple of things I would like. Let's call it the advice section. That what advice would you give to somebody who wants to start their own venture in this industry?
This industry is booming and very, very thin margin industry, but the more you rotate your funds, the more you will earn. So this is entirely business of working capital management business. The more you manage your working capital, manage your stock or debtors receivable, you will earn more. And the demand is still picking up. It is not on saturation point. We are still having 20 or 25 vehicles per thousand, and China and USA are more than 500, 600 vehicles. So in India, this industry start booming, and I'm saying next 20 or 25 years, the way our infra is increasing, you will find more and more car on roads. So when the cars are on road, our business is going to be increased. Whenever anybody is planning to come into this automotive part distribution business, uh, they need to be ready for two kind of things. Once, this business required a lot of space to keep this inventory so we can provide it timely to the customer. Second, this business is highly capital incentive business, working capital incentive business. So more the rotation, more the working capital they have, they can invest into business and start their business.
What advice would you give to professionals who want to build a career in operations, distribution, or supply chain leadership?
Uh, First, you need to think what's your interest. If you are a guy who love to do a problem solving work, come into any kind of role in distribution business, be it supply chain, there's a lot of things you need to take hundreds of decision on daily basis. Some might be correct, some might not be correct. So you need to be a quick decision maker, and you need to be good listener, so you can understand the problem properly. You need to find the root cause of a problem and then give a solution to the industry, whatever they demand at that time. Because all decisions are trade-off at that time. There might be some decision which were taken past was correct at that time, but not now. So it's a situation time at what time we are taking decisions. It's a trade-off. What will be best at that situated time process.
Right. And what would be your advice to any young professional across industries who's ambitious, who wants to do really well for themselves, who wants to unleash their potential, do the best of their work, and is entering the workforce today?
Uh, Even I am also finding what are my best potential. So no one able to find their potential during their working job. You need to always push yourself to come out of the comfort zone. When you feel you are into comfort zone, then you are not using your potential properly. Try to take little bit pressure on daily basis. Come out of the comfort zone. You will reach your potential definitely in one day.
And I'd like to close it with your advice to leaders on leadership that leaves an impact.
Sorry.
Your advice to leaders on leadership that leaves a lasting impact. What is leadership, according to you?
You need to be person, not when you are into leadership, you need to be polite enough, not to be arrogant, so your team will shy or get away, find another person to share their things. If you are open enough that your team are coming to you, sharing their problem with you, then you will be a good leader. And there should be a transparent communication with your team, whether it will going to be happen or not. You need to clear on the face of the team. Don't keep in that yes ho jayega nahi hoga. Every decision should be black and white. There should be not anything in gray. If you make that kind of transparent bond with your team, you are going to be good leader.
And on that note, thank you for your time, Bharat. It has been amazing having this conversation with you. I'm sure a lot of our audiences that are working in organizations that are at the cusp of transformation from legacy to professional organizations, a lot of the leaders there have got very, very actionable insights from what you have said and what has really worked. And now they can go back and contextualize it. Thank you for speaking to us. Thank you for your time. And to everybody else, we look forward to meeting you in the next edition of the Gray Space. Thank you.
Thank you, Rupali.